Hey guys, how are you? I know you won't be able to reply back now, but I hope you will wherever you are. And yeah, welcome to my YouTube channel. If it's your first time, welcome. If you are coming back for the second or the third time, welcome back and thanks a lot. Thank you for giving me another chance. Thank you for coming back and thank you for supporting. And yeah, guys, my name is Tidi Thompson, and this is the second edition or installment of Get to Know Me. If you watched my first video, I had said that I was going to come back with a part two of that, where I was going to share with you guys my experiences growing up, my background, my upbringing. So this is it. Finally, I made time. I made time to do it. But as you can see, I'm in my car. When I get home, guys, when I get home, like, I never get a chance to do anything. So I thought, let me just do it while I'm in the car. So yes, this is it, guys. Um, the last time I mentioned that I'm from Kwakwa Putadichaba, a small township called Makakung that was and still is famous of all the wrong reasons. I mentioned in the first video that all social illnesses that you can find in the world, you will find it there. Everything, prostitution, poverty, crime, alcoholism, substance abuse. And it's really sad because I was just thinking about it. My sister and I are always talking about this, to say that that area has always been like that, even before our time, before our generation. It was like that, and we also had to experience the same. And even the generation of now is still experiencing the same things, and it has gotten worse because now you have things like Bonyaope, of which then they were not there. It was just the alcohol and dacha, but now it's worse because now there's substance abuse. So I don't know, sometimes I feel like there's I don't know, a curse or a dark cloud hanging around that place. I'm not sure what's causing it. It's just that like I said, it feels like there's just this generational curse that keeps on going and going, and it's not ending. And really, if you get to make it out of that area, you're very lucky. You're very lucky, like me. But yeah, so guys, that's the kind of environment that I grew up in. And yeah, when I was born, I was born with both my parents living under the same roof, although they were not married. And my grandmother was also there. Although I don't know my grandmother because I was still a baby when she passed on, so I just hear about her. And yeah, I don't even know what she looks like. Don't even have photos of her. That's how bad it is. But yeah, they always told us stories about her. Um, so yeah, like I said, my grandmother passed on when I was still a baby, and then my father was left with the house. So in the Sotho culture, the house, the family house, always belongs to the younger sibling, especially if it's a boy, the youngest son, so that when he gets married, he can stay there with the children, because my father is the youngest of his siblings. So most of all of his sisters had gone out. Some of them were married. They had their own places. So my father was left with the place, and then we lived there with my mother. And yeah, I don't have a lot of memories because I was still young. I just have a few flashbacks. I remember we had chickens, um, egg bearing chickens. I don't know what they're called. I'm just gonna say egg making chickens. Yeah. And I used to go and collect the chicken. The eggs. Sorry, and it was nice. It was a nice environment at some point. At that time, I don't remember struggling that much. Plus, I was the only child then. My mother did have other kids who are my older siblings from her side, from her previous relationship before she met my mother. But I'll talk about that some other time. So when she left them with their father when she came to Kwakwa. She actually came for her sister who was living there, and yeah, she left an abusive um, relationship and environment. Came for her sister in Kwakwa, and that's how she met my father. So I'm my father's firstborn. So you can just imagine I was daddy's girl. My father loved me. He still loves me in his own way. But it was nice when he was around. I remember he also had a small tech shop. And yeah, because I remember he was selling paraffin and small thing. It was not that big, but he was selling some things. And he used to take me with when he would go and buy stock for the tech shop. And I remember this one day when he took me, put me on his shoulders. It was nice because I remember very well when between our township and the area where he used to buy stock from, there's a river that you had to cross to get to the other side. So I remember that day when he was crossing and I was looking at the a river flowing from up there. It was nice. So those are some of the nice memories that I had. So and then like I mentioned, they were not married. And then my father, I don't know what happened, but he disappeared. I'm saying he disappeared because I don't remember anyone telling me that, okay, your father's gonna go now. I don't remember him saying bye. All I know is that I just saw my father was not there, and I don't know. Nothing was explained to me, no explanation whatsoever. And I think leading to his disappearance, I'll use the word disappearance because according to me, he disappeared. Leading to that, or leading to him leaving, him and my mother were not on good terms. I think they had separated because I remember at some point, um, my mother and I were living in her older sister's house with my cousins. Her older sister had 3 children, so we were living there. And the older sister as well, she also died when I was still young. I don't know her. So my mother had to take over and take care of her children, my 3 cousins. So I'm not sure if maybe that was the cause of the my parents fighting and so on. I don't know. I'm just thinking. So they had separated before my father left. So yeah, he was no longer there. And then I don't know, maybe after a year or two, I think then I was maybe 5, 6, then we were told that he's in Cape Town. Okay, he was in Cape Town, at least we knew. But we didn't have there was no communication between him and us or anything like that. There was nothing. And like I said, it was me, my mother, and my 3 cousins. And then at some point, we moved from my aunt, the one who passed on, my mother's big sister. We moved from her house now to my father's house, the family house where my father and my mother were living. We moved back, and then at some point I was living there. I can't remember, guys, because I was still young. At some point I remember both my cousins stayed at their mother's house, and it was just me and my mother. And then again, at some point, I think my mother took them and stayed with them at my father's house, the family house, the Thompson family house. So yeah, my father was gone, like I said, and during that time when he was gone, life was very difficult. Life was very hard. My mother, I mentioned in the first video that my mother worked for a clothing factory, and the money that they earned, guys, it was nothing. She could hardly buy us clothes. We didn't have clothes. We didn't have proper uniform. Like, It was just bad. It was just bad. Like I said, um, sometimes we went to bed without food, without anything to eat for days, without anything to eat. So yeah, it was not. I think it was only at home you were okay because that's your home. You used to things being like that. But then as soon as you go out, especially when you get to school, that's when then you realize that you're not like other kids. You don't have this and that. And I think um the way the other kids also treated us didn't make things better. It just we were just isolated. um but yes, back at home we did have friends who came from the same area because our family setups or backgrounds were like the same. So yeah, it was not nice. And as a child growing up under such circumstances, it can limit you. You will sometimes you won't even discover what talents you have or your abilities, what you can do, or what sets you apart from other children. Like I said, like what you can do, your capabilities, because you always worried of what the next meal is going to be, where it's going to come from. It's cold, you're worried about the fact that you don't have proper shoes, you don't have proper uniform to go to school, you don't even have a school bag, you're using a plastic bag to carry your books, such things. So at school, it was almost as if we don't exist to other children who were well off. And like I said, even the treatment was not nice, and from other teachers as well. And it's sad. I can understand the kids. I'm not saying if kids are bullying others, it's okay because they're kids, because they're supposed to be taught by their parents. But sometimes kids can, even though you show them the way, they can go out and do their own thing. But then it's said when it comes from adults who are teachers, who are supposed to be your, I believe that a teacher is it's a parent, away from home. So yeah, some teachers also looked down on us. Like I said, in the class, it was like you don't even exist. And you get used to it because even when a question is asked and you know the answer, you don't even bother raising your hand because you are like, that kid who comes from a Makagum who doesn't have a proper uniform, her hair's not done or whatever. They just know your name. So it was like that. And yeah, like I said, it was bad. Food was also a struggle. I used to collect as much bread as I can because we used to eat from the school's feeding scheme. So when I got the chance, when they were open, I would make sure that I collect as much as I can bread so that we can have something for supper. Then my mother would also bring a soup from work that they used to cook for them for lunch. So this means during school holidays it would be a problem because then there's no way for me to collect any food. There's no food, you know. Sometimes my mother will bring the soup. Sometimes they don't get it. So it was like that. I remember this other time. I think we went for about 2 or 3 days without eating anything. So it was school holidays, and I had visited my friend. She was living the same street as I. And I remember we were watching TV. Remember those small black and white TVs that used like car batteries? Yes, those ones. We were watching it. I don't know why I was sitting on the floor, but I was leaning on a chair. I think I was very tired. I was very tired. I actually wanted to lie down, but I didn't want to make it obvious that I'm not okay. So while we were sitting there and watching TV, her aunt, she was also living with her aunt. Her aunt gave her food for lunch, and then because I was there, that's what we did. We'd always share. I remember she gave me some food to eat. Yo, immediately when I put that food in my mouth, yo guys, I never felt anything like that. Mind you, I was just a child. Even now, like I remember very well how it felt. It's just that it's so hard to explain because there's not like any other pain that you feel from like any body part, that's a very special kind of feeling or pain. I put the food in my mouth and my whole mouth was hurting. It was very painful, and this is because I haven't eaten in so long. So it's as if now my body was treating the food as if it's like a foreigner type of thing. If you understand what I'm saying. According to my tongue was painful, my throat. Even when I was just moving my jaws to chew, that was painful. Then when I tried to swallow the food, it was worse. It was worse. And I remember I cried. Not really crying, but yeah, tears just came down. And I remember my friend asked me, what's going on? Am I okay? And I had to tell her because she didn't know what to do. She was wondering what's going on because I was fine, even though I was not 100% fine, but I was okay. And then the minute I ate the food, I started to react in that way. So yeah, that's how bad it was. Like I said, we barely made ends meet. My mother was struggling because it was just her with my two cousins. It was only two because the younger cousin was also taken away by my mother's aunt who lived in Bethlehem. So it was the four of us, my mother, my two cousins, and I. The older cousin was a boy, and he was very naughty. Always getting into trouble. Didn't even like he dropped off from school. So it was just a lot for my mother. My mother also went through her own hardships growing up as a child, coming into adulthood. But that's a story for another day. So you can just imagine for her now to be in a position where she has to take care of three children and she couldn't even afford it. And then the other one is always in trouble. My mother's been called at school. It was just chaotic. So that's how we grew up. And then at some point, my mother, okay, so I forgot to tell you guys, my parents apparently met at a party. So when I was young, they used to drink, both of them drink and smoke. So that was their lifestyle, and they used to fight a lot. I even remember one of their fights when I was still a toddler, where my father had stabbed my mother. So that's how it used to get. It used to get like very physical and very, serious. So at some point, then when I think I was five, no, 6, 7, 8, somewhere there, my mother was trying to change her life. She was trying to better her life, um from how she lived. She stopped drinking. She stopped living that kind of a lifestyle. And I think she was recruited by the Jehovah's Witnesses. We had a lot of them who used to come to our area, to tell people about the Word of God and so on. And I remember there were these two ladies who were always at my house almost every Saturday or Sunday. I think it was Saturday. So and then they recruited her to join some. I'm gonna call it a cult, guys, because it's a cult. Kereke Piri. Those of you who know it. And okay, like I said, she changed how she lived. She was trying to be a better person, but the only problem is that then she was always away. These ladies were living in another village in Makwani, so my mother had to go there because they had a service every Friday on a weekly basis. But then she had to stay there for the whole weekend. So she would leave on a Friday, and then we'll see her on Sunday when she comes back. Mind you, we're just kids, so we'll be left alone in the house. And that's where we learned to be independent from a very young age. It's nice for a child to learn to be independent, but not in those circumstances where you are left alone and you can't even fend for yourself. And sometimes there's no food in the house, and it's like, where am I going to get the food? And there's no adults in the house, you know. So the environment in the house was not, because that's where then we got habits, these habits of going out. You know, if you have a friend, you'd go to your friend's house. Maybe you would be lucky, you'd get lunch from there, or maybe somebody would give you money and then you get to buy cha, and then you eat with pap. But then everybody was just looking out for themselves. That's how it was. Everybody was just looking out for them, and we grew up with that mentality, you know. So yeah, so that was life until the age of 10, when my father came back. He came back, and I remember looking at him. It was so strange because although he was my father, he looked like, you know, those people that you would see from afar, but it's because he was well off, the way he was dressed. But even apart from that, my father is a very clean guy. He takes care of himself. But he was, yeah, he was clean, you know, nice clothes, not fancy, but nice clothes. You could see that wherever he is, he's okay. He's well off. And then us, on the other hand, like I had already described the situation, it was bad. And when he went back, he was when he was going back to Cape Town, he took me with to the Western Cape. He took me with. I don't know if he came with the intention of taking me with, or maybe he saw the circumstances and then decided that, okay, let me take my daughter with. Because, okay, I forgot to also mention this. I also have a sibling, a younger sibling. It's just that we didn't grow up together. She was taken by my aunt after my father had disappeared to Joburg when I was still young. So my aunt, my mother's sister, took her so that she can help my mother, because she could see that my mother was struggling. So she took my little sister to raise her. That's why I grew up with my cousins. My little sister was there. So my father came, then he only took me. My little sister was still with my aunt. My aunt was also well off, so maybe that's why he was like, okay, she can stay there because they're taking care of her. So yeah, my father took me with. We left. I remember that trip, or you know, we took a trains to the Western Cape. I think it was about 3 trains that we took, because yeah, there's no transport directly from the Free State to Cape Town. Okay, back then, maybe now it is there. Yes, I know there are taxis, but back then there wasn't. And I think the taxi maybe was the most of, yeah, was the cheapest. Anyway, he took me with, and I remember I didn't even have a bag for my clothes. My clothes were in a plastic bag, and it wasn't a lot. It was just 3 dresses. It was just 3 dresses, and I only had 2 underwears. The one that I was wearing, and then yeah, the other one, nothing. And then that was it. No toothbrush, nothing. Didn't have a toothbrush, guys. I remember the dress I was wearing when I left with my mother at the age of 10. With my father, sorry. My mother didn't buy it for me. Did she buy it? I can't even remember because we also used to get secondhand clothes from her church members. So there was this specific dress that I liked so much. It was two different fabrics. It was sort of like a skirt, put together with a top. So up here it was white, and then the skirt part was a jean. Yeah, the fabric it was a jean and like your normal cotton up here. I don't know if I'm explaining it right or if you guys are getting the picture, but I love that dress so much. Although it was worn out, but I loved it. I was wearing that dress. So emotions on that journey from Kwakwa to the Western Cape. I don't remember. Was I excited? I think I was excited, but I was also nervous because I've never left my mother. I've never left. I've never lived away from her. As much as I was excited to live with my father, I did not know what to expect. What am I going to find? Where we're going? Although as a child, I thought it was just going to be me and my father. Because again, you know how our parents never told us anything. Yeah, I thought it was just going to be me and him. But when I got there to the house, when we finally got to Khayelitsha in the Western Cape, there was a lady, and then he introduced us. So the lady was her partner, my stepmom. She also had a daughter who became my stepsister. I remember he introduced us and then told me who they were. And I didn't know how to react, guys. I've never been in such a situation. Can you imagine? It's just that as parents, sometimes we don't think through things when we do them, and we don't put ourselves in the children's shoes, you know. At my age, can you imagine a child at that age? Okay, your father comes, they pick you up, you go to another province. They didn't tell you when you get there. There's people, they tell you that this is your stepmom. I wasn't even familiar with such arrangements like your blended families or whatever. I wasn't familiar with that. So yeah, I didn't react, but I wasn't angry. It's just that yes, I was shocked a bit because I wasn't expecting that. So I remember after they went into the house, my stepmom and my stepsister, then my father told me that I can call her mom. I can call my stepmom mom or Cece. Cece is like sister. Yo, just like that, guys. Guys, if you plan on having a blended family or you're no longer with your children's biological parents, please seek advice if you don't know what to do, if you don't know how to do things. Yeah, seek advice, do things right, because yay, the kids, they get traumatized by things that their parents do. So just like that, I was told that you can call her mom or Sisi. So immediately I'm like, Aibo, mom, how does that work? How is she my mom? Not in a bad way, but as a child I'm thinking, no, but I have my mother back at home, so why would I call somebody else mom? So to me it was like, am I going to, I felt like, will I be betraying my mother if I call this lady mom? So I just decided, okay, Sisi will work for me for now. Then I decided that I was going to call her. I didn't tell my father that I will call her Sisi. I just said okay, and then I didn't even call her Sisi because even that was uncomfortable. So for a while, I didn't address her with any titles. It was so weird, and thinking about it right now, it's so funny because when I needed something, when I wanted to speak to her, I would just go to her and make sure that I'm as close so that she can hear what I'm saying, because I didn't, it was so uncomfortable for me to say sissy, mama, or mama, or whatever, although I was given the options to, of titles of how to address her, still it was so uncomfortable. So yeah, I would just go as to her, make sure that I'm close to her, and say, for example, I'm looking for a broom, and just say, "Where's the broom?" And I can imagine, because to her maybe it felt um like I was being disrespectful, but I wasn't. I was just a child, an introverted child who was so confused. That's all it was. But I think I'm going to do another video again about blended families, step parents and step children. Yeah, I'm gonna do another video about that. But yeah, that's how it was. So I stayed there for 3 years. Um, and things changed. Like I said, they were well off, and for the first time in my life, I could afford. I could be like other kids at school. I could have proper uniform, and I was so excited. I could have a school, winter uniform like other kids. I could be warm. I could use transport to go to school. I could have a lunch box. I could have pocket money. Everything was, I was so excited about that. I could be like other kids when I get to school. And it was like that. I was like other kids when I got to school. The only thing is that the environment at home was very toxic. And this is because my father was struggling with um, alcoholism. So, yeah, I witnessed a lot of arguments, fights between him and my stepmom. Mind you, I didn't have a lot of memories or of seeing both my parents together. And then the first time where I see people that are supposed to play the parents' role together, that's what I saw, the toxicity. And yeah, like I said, they used to fight a lot because of that. And I blame it on, I blame most of the part on my father because of his behavior and the things that he used to do. I mean, he used to go and get drunk and sometimes never come back home. He would disappear for days and just leave us there without buying any food or taking any responsibility like a father is supposed to. And my stepmom would be frustrated, and out of frustration she would say things like things that hurt me. And she didn't say these things directly to me, but she would talk about it sometimes to her friends on the phone, or family members, or her friends when they come over, to say, look, he left this child of his here without any money, without buying food, without anything like that. So, and I would hear all of that because I would be in the house. Like I said, I don't blame her, understand her frustrations, but I also feel like she could have I don't know, she could have protected me a bit from that, because that damaged me. Hearing those things, it led to me being uncomfortable, doing things in the house like eating and so on, especially if my father was not there, or especially if I saw that, for example, the grocery in the house, if she's the one who bought the grocery, I would be uncomfortable eating. And then if I'm really hungry, I would go and ask for food. And sometimes, if the fight was that bad, was really bad, I would just stay in our room. We share a room with my stepsister. And I would just eat when food is offered to me. But I wouldn't go and ask for it because I was scared. I remember my father didn't buy any food. And sometimes when he had disappeared, I wouldn't even ask for pocket money because I was scared. And again, that was seen as being as retaliating or being disrespectful from my side. I don't know, guys. I don't know why. That's why I'm saying, blended families need wisdom, number one, and they also need people who who have healed emotionally or who are matured emotionally. Because if you're not, the damage that you're going to do on those kids is going to be difficult to be undone. So yeah, like I said, sometimes I would just go to school. Then I had transport that would come and pick me up, and I would just go. And then sometimes my step mom will say, "Here, take the pocket money," without me asking, because, like I said, I was scared to ask. So yeah, so that part was not nice. It was not nice at all. It was not nice at all. And I was shocked when one of my teachers actually realized that, or suspected that, there's something wrong that is going on at home. Because I remember this other day when we were at school, she called me. I think it was just after the school bell rang to say that school is out. And then she called me and asked me and said, like, why do you always get sad when the last bell rings, when the school is out? Why do you always get sad? Is there something going on at home? Yo. And I remember the shock, because I didn't even realize that it was showing, that people could see it. And I guess maybe she was studying me a lot. That's how, I don't know. I don't know how she saw that. But yeah, I couldn't even speak. So I just told her that no, it's okay. I'm fine. Because I didn't even know how to talk about such things. So yeah, that's how it was. And it was not nice. It was not nice, because the fights, again, they used to be physical. The fights used to be physical, and my father, he would get so destructive when he's drunk. Like, if he gets home late at night, let's say we're sleeping, or maybe in the early hours of the morning, he would make noise, bang the doors, bang the windows, wake us up. Mind you, sometimes we need to wake up in the morning and go to school. Turn on the radio on full blast, such behaviors. So yeah. This other time, the fight got so bad that my stepmom put us out, or okay, put him out. Not me necessarily. She put him out. Yeah, told him to take his belongings and leave. She was fed up. And then there was me. As much as nobody said Tidi or Matidi, so go with him, I had no choice. I can't stay behind. That's my father. Because of how things were, I mean, it wouldn't make sense for me to say I'm gonna stay behind because of everything that has happened. And I'm thinking, if you and my father are breaking up, why do I need to stay behind? I'm saying this because they got back together at some point, and then I was made to look bad because I left with my father, and they ganged up on me to say, no, why did you live with your father? I mean, you're a girl child. How did you expect that you guys were going to live in that one room shack? But I'm like, what was I supposed to do? I mean, staying behind was not an option because of the environment and because of everything that has happened prior to that. You know, if my father was not there, was he now going to suddenly buy food for everyone to eat? And was it not going to be, all of a sudden, was it not going to be a problem anymore that he's not buying food? I don't know if you guys understand what I'm saying. So anyway, um yeah, um when my father left, he told me that take your things, let's go. And I took my things. And I'm gonna be honest, I was relieved. Not because they're breaking up, but I was so tired of the toxicity. I was so tired of witnessing the fights between them and everything, that I was like, okay, at least this is coming to an end. I don't know what to expect, where we're going with my father, but anything is better than this. That's how I felt. So I didn't waste time. I just packed my things. We left, and my father had a shack at some informal settlement. They called it Enkanini. It was informal settlement. People. Most of the people were coming from the Eastern Cape. Yeah, to come and seek a better life in the Western Cape. So we went there. At least there was a bed. At least there was a stove. I think some of the things he bought when we got there, like 2 pots and so on. And I didn't even know how to cook, but I mean I could cook pap. But that was it. I remember this other day he bought chicken for me to cook. I put so much salt in it that nobody could eat it. So that was the situation. So, but luckily, during that time, it was during the school holidays, so I didn't have to worry about going to school. What am I going to do? I was like, okay, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. So yeah, I think we stayed there for about 2 weeks. During that 2 weeks, he was most of the time he was not at home. He would go drink, come back at night, sleep, wake up, go. It was just like that. So most of the time during the day, it was me by myself. And yeah, his lady friends would come by, ask me questions. Where are you? Who are you? Like questions like, are you his daughter? Where's your mother? Such things. And most when you're a child, I was a respectful child, so I would just answer them whatever questions that they had. I think they wanted to make sure that it's not some funny business going on there. And yeah, while we were still there, like I said, it was about 2 weeks or so. I remember this other night, I heard a knock on the door. My father was home. And then when he opened, it was my stepmom with her, I think the lady was a cousin. And then immediately they just asked me to go with the cousin. The cousin lived closer to that area. And yeah, we walked with her that night. And then my stepmom was left behind with my father. Then I guess they were trying to, resolve their issues. So for the remainder of the school holidays, I was at my stepmom's cousin's house. And mind you, oh guys, the things that I went through, I was still not comfortable. Because that's when I got there, the cousin was asking me, why did you go with your father? Why did you tell your father that you wanted to stay behind? And in my mind, I'm thinking like, but how? Yeah. So that didn't sit well with me, because now I was blamed for leaving with my father while all this was happening. But yeah, so as the schools were about to reopen, then again I was told to pack up my things. Then we moved back to my stepmom's house. Nothing changed. It only became worse. And after I was done with it was grade 8. Yes, because grade 8, December. Told my father that, you know what, I want to go back to my mother. I just couldn't take it anymore. As much as everything was provided for, I was well off, but my emotional, psychological well-being was not okay. Was not okay. I left Qwaqwa. As much as I was just this girl from a poor background, but my personality, I had a very bubbly personality when I left. And when I left Kwakwa. And when I left the Western Cape to go back to my mother, I was a different person. I was a different person. I was damaged. I was scarred. I didn't realize it then, but when I think about it now, yeah. And I'm grateful for everything that um everything that I learned while I was there, because like I said, I had opportunities like any other kid that was my age. um I got to experience things. I went back to Kwakwa with knowledge and experience. I had dreams, and I knew that it was possible to accomplish the dreams because I've seen it with my eyes. Unlike when I was still in Kwakwa, my environment was everything that I knew. And I know if my father didn't come to get me, I don't know what would have happened with me. I don't know where I would have ended up, but I don't think I would be here. So that part I'm really grateful for. But like I said, um, emotionally, psychologically, oh, I was scared. So yeah, and I don't get me wrong, guys. I don't blame my parents. I don't blame them for anything. I'm good. My parents and I are good. At some point, yes, I was resentful for some of the things, but then when you grow up, and you get to understand things, and you also go through things, then you get to understand why people do things that they do, or why they act how they act. Both my parents, especially my mother, had a tough upbringing, didn't get to experience the perfect upbringing, or to see anyone bringing up a child in a way that a child's supposed to be brought up. So how could she have done it if she herself didn't know how to? She couldn't have done it. So that's what I'm saying. I'm not gonna lie, yes, at some point I was resentful, because as you grow up now, you can realize that some of the things that I'm doing is because of one, two, three. Your background is haunting you, and you realize that, for example, like I said, okay, even when I moved back to Kwakwa, my mother was still going to that church. So most of the things that I know now as an adult, I was not taught at home. I learned as I went to my friend's house, basic things that a girl child is supposed to be taught. Some of the things, yes, she taught us, but not in the right way. When you visit your friend and then you realize that, Haibo, how we do things back at home is not right. This is how something is supposed to be done. And some of them, like I said, I had to unlearn a lot of things by myself. And I had to learn a lot as well. So, and most of the things, it was just trial and error. Sometimes you think you're doing the right thing, or you think you've made the right choice, and it's not. Why? Because most of the things were not instilled in you growing up. And some of those mistakes I'm still making. I'm not perfect. I've I've gone through a lot, and I really thank God, because if it wasn't for him, if it wasn't for my faith, I don't know what could have what could have happened to me. But it's not a straightforward, I don't know, route to I don't know, success, if I can use that word, in lack for a better word. There's still things that I'm fighting. There's still things that I'm yet to learn and unlearn. But I'm grateful. I'm grateful for those experiences. I really am. But so, guys, yeah. Wow, that was almost an hour. I think let me stop here. Let me end it here. I mean, I could go on and on, but I think, yeah, some other information, whatever that I left out, I will make other videos for you to watch. So please support me, subscribe, and like my videos. I'm not saying that my story is unique, but I just feel I've always felt like me sharing my experiences and my testimonies can help the other person, whether you're going through the same thing or you've gone through the same thing, or you can relate, and this is also a way of me healing, talking about it, because most of the time you don't get to talk about it. So yeah, that's why I created this channel. But guys, thank you for watching, and like I said, please subscribe and like my videos. And I don't know if you can share, I'm still new in this thing. Share if you can, but I'll also share my what do they call it, I can't remember what they call it, on my social channel. So I'm Tidi Thompson everywhere. On Facebook, Tidi Thompson. Instagram is also Tidi Thompson. So yeah, that's all for now, guys. That's all for today. Again, thank you so much, and yeah, I hope you have a great day further, and see you next time on the next video. Bye.